Good afternoon once again, guys. Today I thought it's important to balance the equation, right? Just as we did the other day for boats. I took the privilege to also want to get exactly what Indrive also takes exactly the percentage that goes to them. That's one. And the other thing we are looking to do in this video is, why are we doing this analysis actually? Why does it matter? First, this is not about attacking or promoting any app. Just like I said in the last video, it's not to promote or to bring any app down. The goal is to teach drivers how to read their own trip numbers, to have exactly what exactly is, how is the numbers? Is it okay for me? Is it bad for me? And like I said, we are drivers who are into business. We are literally not looking to be, a loyalist per se to a particular app. So that does not mean that we can't preference a particular app because of the values it presents to us. So we are checking fare, driver income, the distance deductions, and how much per kilometer we actually get. A big fare does not, a big amount of fare, sorry about that, I had a call. Let me quickly put this on silence. Do not disturb for an hour. I think I should be done in an hour. Alright, I should be done. Now, I was saying that if a trip has a huge amount, does not necessarily amount that it's paying and it's a good trip. So a big fare does not always mean that a trip is actually profitable. Now, a profitable app strategy must also include the waiting time and trip selection. That's the reason why this analysis actually matters. So let me talk about the formulas we are using in doing this particular calculation we are going to be using. There is going to be the gross amount per kilometer, which is equal, how do we get the gross amount per kilometer? That's equal the total fare that was paid by the rider divided by the distance. So now, what is the gross amount? Gross amount actually per kilometer. Gross amount per kilometer is saying that this particular trip that we are on, what is the amount per kilometer? I explained that in both analysis that I did. What's the amount per kilometer that you get paid for both you, the driver, I'll call us D now, the driver, you, the driver, sorry, let me use the one here, the driver, plus Indrive. That's the gross amount per kilometer. And now the net amount per kilometer, which is this, that one is the one that actually is for the driver. It's just the driver only. That's the one that we call the net amount, so we can have those understanding. It's important I mention it. So we know what the gross is, we know what the net amount is. So the Indrive deduction percentage, how do we get that one? That's the total deduction divided by the rider fare. So let's take, for instance, the amount Indrive deducted is maybe 800 naira. Is now going to be divided by the rider fare, how much the rider paid. Let's say is 10,000 naira multiplied by 100. That's going to give us the percentage that is actually going to Indrive. Right, that's how to go about that. So we take a little bit step forward. The next thing is, why does this actually matter? This matter because deduction reduce what the driver truly keeps. A lot of us always forget something, and I think I in one of my live sessions somebody mentioned the same thing, and I remember I asked the person, have you ever calculated what your car consumes per minute or per kilometer, or have you at least taken taking your time to discover what exactly is these people taking? Now there's a mental thing that happens in Indrive, because we pay the amount because we pay the commission, right? before we get the ride, we usually forget. Let's say those 2,500, 3,000 that you usually pay, we forget completely. We forget totally that we're actually paying. So we think when somebody pays you 5,000 or somebody pays you 10,000 naira, you think in your head that amount they pay you or they paid you is your gain. No, you have actually paid certain amount. So let's always keep that in mind. So for teaching, always separate gross income, right? The gross income is the one that's, remember I mentioned that earlier on. Now the gross income is what comes to you, and that's you plus Indrive. In the case of Indrive that we're analyzing today, that's what gross income is. The amount that comes into your hand that they paid you is not just for you. There's a percentage that goes to the app, and that's important that you keep that in mind. Having said that, let's take a little bit step further. Now, before I go on, it's important I move to this particular analysis first. So let's go to the first trip, the trip I did the analysis for. Trip 1. Follow me so you can understand this better. Trip 1, right? I had this trip on the 21st of June. It's for one Mr. Victor. Thankfully enough, the person's face is not showing. Oluwashim. For one Mr. Victor. I hope the rest also did not show any face, but if it does, I'm sure this is not. So how much did I get paid for this trip? I get paid this amount. The fare that was paid was this 9,400. If you are with me, you can carry your calculator in this class, fine. 9,400 was what was paid. Now, what was the distance that was covered? The distance that was covered was 19.2 kilometer. That is somewhere around here. This is it here. 19.2 kilometer. This is it here. I haven't said that. What the driver gets paid that is his own is this amount as we have it here, right? That's 8,127.78. So that's when the percentage for Indrive has already been collected. We are going to break it down. We're going to do the calculation. How you get this done, you do it together. Now, what Indrive got was this amount, which was 1,272 naira 0.22 kobo, which amounts to 13.53. 13.53%. That's what that amounts to. 13.53% is what it amounts to. Now, what is now the net amount? Remember I said the net is what comes to you, the total amount per kilometer that comes to you, while the gross is the one for both you and Indrive. So the gross that we get the customer charge per kilometer was 489 naira 0.58 kobo, right? While the amount that comes to me as a driver particularly is this amount per kilometer. Now this is where you are going to base the whole calculation of your how much you got fuel, how much your fuel consumes per kilometer, how much you are paying yourself as a driver, how much you bought data, insurance amount you choose to bring out for yourself, your feeding, everything that you are getting is based on this net. So we are not really so much concerned like that about. So this net, this net is what is important to us. This net income, what goes to you, is what is important to us. So we have been able to understand the fact that what Indrive gets is 13.53%. And what does that mean? It means for every ride you have on the app, that's the amount that gets deducted from that amount you have already topped up on the app. I believe we are moving together, right? So let's take a little bit step further. But before we go, I want us to break some things down here. Now, in this calculation, note that the distance that was calculated here does not involve your pickup distances. This distance that was calculated, this 19.2, is just the drop-off distance. It's not the pickup distance. And if you remember in one of my videos, I said what I do mostly is that for me to pick a gainful ride, I usually add the amount for pickup. So for the sake of this conversation, let me say that if your distance that you are picking up is not more than 2 kilometers, That's only when it makes sense. Actually, don't let it go beyond 2 kilometers. If it's 2 kilometers, even it should not be more than 1 kilometer ordinary, but let's say 2 kilometers. So that means what they have here, if I were to calculate, is supposed to be 19.2 plus 2. That's going to be 21.2 kilometer in total. So that means if I were to take this ride, if it was the normal me, when I want to calculate something, that when I'm calculating, I said 500 naira per kilometer is what you should use in previous videos. You can go and check. When I calculate, what I do is I do 500 naira per kilometer. Now if I were calculating for that now, that would be in my head, that's for both of us, myself and Indrive. 500 naira per kilometer is what I usually try to calculate. 500 naira times 21.2. So a mental calculation like I usually do, I just divide this into 2. That's 500 times 10 in 2 places. That's 10,000 naira. 10,000, but with the one that is on it, I'm just going to make that, I'll round this off to 2. That means this ride is supposed to be around 11,000 naira in my head when I round it off. So I'm going to round this up to 22, and 500 times 22 is 11,000 naira. That's what I would have expected. So if this ride was taken for 11,000 naira, the fare that the person paid would have been 11,000 naira, but of course that's very rare to find. So that's why we usually just step down a little bit. So they said the gross that was charged based on this trip was 489.58. So that means 489.58 multiply by what they used here, which you can still use. What they used here was 19.2. That's what gives us what we have here. That's what gave us this. That's what gave us, sorry Jerry, that's what gave us this 94. If you multiply this by this, it gave us 9,400 naira. So why we now have this net here? So that means the calculation I've said that you should not do not less than 500 naira per kilometer still stands. And this is a trip I picked myself. It's a negotiated bid. It's not the one that they are doing that is now the what do they call it, one click ride. There's one of these that is actually one click. So that's the calculation. So what is important to you is this. This your net income, like I said, is very, very important to you. The formula we used, I've explained that already, and we can break it down. We can actually do that also together here. We can do it together. Let's do it together so that it doesn't look like what's this man saying. So let's say the customer, first and foremost, I want to get what is the percentage that Indrive is getting. So I'm going to use this one. How to get the percentage yourself is what we are trying to calculate now. I'm going to use this because they didn't put it there. What did I get paid? Let me go straight. Paid. That was paid by the client. Was how much? I think that was 9,000. This is it here, 94, which is also somewhere around here. This is it here on the receipts, 9,400. Now, what did they pay me? That also was there. This one right here, 8127.8 net income. That's the net. 8,127.78. That's what comes into my account by then. So by the time we minus it, this minus this gave us 1272.22. That is the right commission that they removed. Now for us to get the percentage of this commission, that's what we used to do calculation. And we said the total amount that was deducted divided by the amount the rider paid. To get this now, that's what we want to do together, remember. So it's going to be the total deduction, which is 1272.2, 1272.22 divided by what? Divided by the rider's fare. How much the rider paid? The rider paid us how much? We get paid 9,400. Multiply by what? multiply by 100. That's equal to what? I don't know why this is acting funny. Is my phone getting hot? Oh, sorry. Let me open the file again. Divided by that gives us what? So let's quickly do that math together. Let's go to calculator. Calculator. Let me just search. So that's going to give us the percentage. That's how you calculate what percentage actually. If I thought you were interested in the percentage that they do get, that's how you calculate it. So let's go to the math again. 1272.22 divided by how much we got paid, which was 9,400 equals to this times 100. That is 13.5%, and that's what we have here. That's, you know, I was saying earlier, that's what we have here, 13.53. Can you see? 13.53% is what they get. 13.53%. 13.53%. I haven't said this. That's what they got on each of the ride. Before I continue, let me take this opportunity to quickly, I don't know, where's my, sorry. Yeah, let me do a little bit of adverts. As you may already know, I'm an engineer T-Match. All that I do, I thought it's important to mention it today again. I do on-site repair services where I come to your location to fix your laptops, your phones. I come to your location to fix your laptop, your phones, and do software installations right in your own location. You don't need to move an inch or come to you to do that. I'm also into logistics, like you already know. You can do offline trips. That's it. Safe, reliable, and comfortable trips across and outside the city. I do interstate as well. Then the most interesting thing that I do, that I love also to talk about mostly, is this logistic plus tech advice service. That means you want to buy a laptop, you don't need to leave your house to go and waste your money if you don't know much about it. I can come to your location, pick you up, take you down to where you're buying your gadget. It can even be the one you have picked yourself. You pay them, I get paid, we agree on a price for my service, and you are good to go. So I'm both bridging the bridge of logistics and tech advice services. You can try it out sometime. My customers that have tried that out, they did enjoy it. And I'm also a teacher, like you may already know. I teach GSM repair and computer hardware as a subject in secondary schools. If you have a school, you need your students to understand how to repair phones, repair screen, repair charging ports, repair, change charging ports, work on motherboards, basic ones. Of course, for students at that level, I can do that also for you. So that's that about that. That's me, Timaj, the tech repair guy, as well as the transport guy. So let's go into the next thing, which is the trip 2, because we did the same thing also with trip 2 before I could now generalize. This particular trip, the person paid 4,500. You can use the same thing I've used. When the person pays 4,500, the whole distance we moved was 7.8 kilometers, while the gross amount the person paid, remember what I said gross amount is, what did I say it is? Can I hear you? It is for both the payment for you and Indrive. That's the total amount. By the time we divide this and this, that will give us this. Divide this by this, it will give us this amount. Now, going forward from there, what did the driver got? The driver got there. So what you are dividing, you are going to divide this amount you get paid by this. That is what will give you this one here. So how do you now get the percentage? The percentage is now how much you get paid. Divide this by this. Yes, this by this. Multiply by 100. That's the percentage that goes to these people. This divided by this, multiply by 100. That's what gives you the percentage, which is 13.53. By the time you do that calculation with this particularly, also you will get that exact, that exact amount. So that's the amount Indrive gets. Indrive gets 13.53% of every trip you do, no matter how small, of every trip you do. Now that said, let's look at another one, another trip 3 now, which is what I want us to actually focus on a little here. It's very important. This person paid me 19,454 naira. Sorry, 22,000. Client paid 22,500. Right? Indrive paid me this as my own income. Do the same maths. At the end of the day, when you do the same maths, this fare, right, divided by this distance, they paid both of us 433.53. While for my own, this amount that is actually mine divided by this is what gives me my own net income, 374.85. So this 374.85 is what is actually coming to me. This one is mine. It is from it I'm going to do deduction for every other thing that I get. And if you observe, based on the previous one I've checked, which is going to still be in the analysis we are doing at the front, you will realize that this trip did not pay me so well, 374.85 compared to other ones. So that means a trip, the highest fare, does not always amount to a good trip. So driver must not judge trips by fare alone. You don't judge the trip by this is the amount they are paying me. You don't judge it that way. So what you judge it by mainly is actually based on how much this trip is paying you per kilometer. And that was why, to ease you of the stress, I just said do the calculation, based on 500 naira or 600 naira per kilometer, so that by the time it is done, whatever is left for you will be 15% of that. Of the whatever is left for you will be enough to pay you yourself as the rider, right? Yeah. So as I was saying, highest fare does not always say it's going to give you a good pay. So it may carry 40k, 30k, and yet the whole amount is already going to the cost of fuel, and the whole amount is already going as charges to Indrive in this case. So let's go a bit further again. Let's look at trip 4, which is the fourth trip. The fourth trip was a one-click ride, and there's something else I want us to note from this ride. A one-click ride is the new option that Indrive now has, whereby customers don't get to start negotiating. Drivers also don't get to start negotiating. It just shows an amount already calculated by Indrive to be a fair one according to them, right? And you accept and it works. So I picked one ride that way just to test, and I think it's not so bad anyways. It's not so bad, although this is not to say that it's not bad entirely. I have to do more research on one click before I can now say it's great for us as drivers, or you can do the same research also on your part to decide that as well, right? Now, so you won't say I'm the one that said you should keep picking one click ride. Yeah, and of course this person was not so far from me. What is uniform to this whole ride is that I made sure they are not so far from me. There is not more than 5 minutes drive or 7 minutes at most, because if they are too far, that's me already burning a lot of fuel to pick up, which is not going to really be added, right? So that said, this ride paid 7,600 naira for a 16.2 kilometer. Note, these trips were not the ones with traffic, because if you have a lot of traffic, remember Indrive will not add all of those to you in your trip. It won't. So the gross, I don't think I need to explain what gross is again. Gross payment is 469.14 per kilometer, while the amount that gets to me as net is 405.64 per kilometer. Now the amount that eventually becomes mine is what we have here. Do the maths. Indrive got 13.53 exactly, and the driver got 6,571.40. So what you get per kilometer is this here. That I got, rather, is not you who got it. Now going to what we now found out. What percentage did Indrive take, from all of these trips? The fare, the one that was 9,400, Indrive got this amount, which was the 13.53 amount. from the amount, from the money. The same one goes for 4,500 naira. Indrive got this amount. So that means for every 4,500 naira trip that you get, this is what Indrive gets. The 22,500, this is what Indrive got from it. And what do I get, which is 13.53 also? 47,600, this is what Indrive got, which is 13.53. A moment's play. Yeah. So what percentage did Indrive take? This is it here. It's still the same across. So we can say for a fact, if we do not know before, that the percentage Indrive gets is actually 13.53%. Anytime, any day, as of now. So which is approximately 14%, but of course it's not up to 14%. If they say it's not up to 14%, they are very correct. They are very, very correct. Now that said, what are the key findings, as we conclude on this particular section? The average gross. Now, what does average gross means now? Across all the trips I did, let's say I've been driving since morning. I don't know if I did that when I did the analysis for boats. Let's say I've been driving since morning. So I want to now check based on my total income, based on my total amount that we get paid together, myself and Indrive. What is the total gross, and how do we get that? Total, that one was not here in this way, calculation. Total amount paid by clients divided by the total distance I covered for that day. Total distance. That will give me this particular thing that is saying here. Now, average net, we already know what that will be now. The total amount that I got paid out of the whole money, by the time I sum up the entire money, how much I got paid, total amount, total driver pay, divided by that same distance, the total distance I've done, total distance, I'll call that CD, is what gives me the total amount. So that's what gave me for that day. For the 4 trips rather, I didn't say that's the total trip I did that day. For the 4 trips I did, that is what it amounts to. This is what I got on the average for that whole day. Now, average deducted commission, you can do that also. It's still 13.53. So how do you do that one already? We have already said it. The amount you got paid divided by the amount Indrive got, which is their deduction, minus the amount I got paid, multiply by 100. That's going to give me that. That means I will now need to sum up. If I'm going to get the average, I'm going to sum up the entire amount Indrive got from me that day. I will divide it by the total amount Indrive paid me that day, multiply by 100. That's going to give me the average, this. Now, another key thing we find is that trip 2 gave the highest net income. And why is it so? That means, it could be a short trip. But if you look at it very well, it paid well. Let's go to trip 2. Where's trip 2? Trip 2 paid us the highest, net income. Look at it here, giving me a whooping 498.84 kilometer. It was a short trip, quite alright, but it paid this well. So that means if I got several short trips of that way and there's no traffic, and the fact that of course there's no much waiting, this is a good pay. It's a good pay overall. So that's the one that gave me the best trip in across all of the trips I took, across all of the trip we calculated. Now let me go to the major lesson. Now, what do we have as a major trade-off here? Trip 3 had the highest fare. It had the highest fare. The lowest fare gave the highest pay in kilometer, while the highest fare gave the most poorest pay at the end of the day. So major trade-off here is that waiting longer for profitable negotiated rides can reduce overall daily productivity. What are we saying? Is it not better to just wait long to find good trips, right? If it is just 10, 5 or 7 or 6, rather than just burning fuel around without getting a good ride. You have to now think about it, because your car also is impacted by going around without necessarily having a good pay. So final lesson that I have for us here is that judge trips by how much it is paying per kilometer. Judge it based on how much is going to get deducted from your account, from the money, and also judge it by the time you are using and waiting. not the amount you are getting paid alone. So a trip may say 40k, yet it's not a good trip, while a trip may say 10,000 naira and is a good one, because the distance you covered will determine the wear and tear, the whole thing that gets happen also on your car, and of course on yourself as a driver. So if a trip, that means on the average, if you are getting 450 naira per kilometer as your net, I think that's the only place we can say it's making a little bit of sense. So anything around, or at worst 400 naira as net, so that if your car is consuming, let's say 200 naira per kilometer or 220, that means on an average, I think average car should get around that amount as average amount their car consumes, 200 to 250. It should be around that, definitely. So I think this is where I'll drop the curtain for today. So guys, remember to patronize me. If you need my services in any of the things I mentioned earlier on, you need me to come to your location to fix your gadget, I'm here for you. You need me to teach in a secondary school where they take computer GSM and GSM repair and hardware repair, I'm here for you. You need on-site repair to come fix stuff in your location, I'm here for you. You need to buy anything and you don't want to make mistakes to pay too high for something that is probably even cheaper, get my service. I'll pick you up. You enjoy both logistics and tech advice together, and of course I'm available for offline trips. Until another time guys, that will come up with another analysis or another updates that will help you as drivers to be gainful and profitable in hailing work. I'll see you on the next one guys. Thank you. Have a good day.